What's up, everybody? Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Back on my hoops grind. Excited to talk about the latest NBA news and rumors. Take a look at the NBA Finals, ESPN mock draft. Lots of stuff to discuss with all of you. So welcome in. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. Let us know where you guys are watching from. Shout out your city or country. I know we have a lot of international fans here at Chat Sports. So shout out your city. Let us know where everybody is tuning in from. We are in our Dallas, Texas studios here, and we want to know where all of you are. So let us know. Rashard Lee is saying Denver in 6. We got Arthur out in San Antonio. Shout out Coach Dreadhead for already getting hashtag NBA in there. He knows the deal. If you want to get your question answered on the show, hashtag NBA. We'll get it popping for you guys. Grant's New Mexico from Danny P. We got Logan in Houston, Texas. Rashard Lee here in Dallas. Brydog 47 in Kansas City. We got Coach Dreadhead in Seattle. City of Rain. It is. Although I'll say this, Coop, is we welcome Jeffrey Cooperstein to the show. Let us know who's going to win the NBA Finals. It's been actually raining quite a bit here in Dallas, I would say.
We've had some decent rain here in the last month or so. That just means it's going to be a scorching June.
Yeah, exactly. May's kind of like the new March, I feel like, in terms of rain. Like, lots of rain, you're like, oh, maybe it won't get too hot. And then June 1st tomorrow, it's going to be blistering. So summer is upon us. But what do you think, Coop? Who's winning the finals? And how many
Nuggets,
games?
Man, I just think the Heat have expended all of their goodwill.
Kind of maxed out.
I think it's Nuggets in 6. I think the Heat will get one at home. Maybe they'll steal one in Denver, but I don't think they can win 4 more.
Yeah, it just feels like a lot. I mean, it took them 4 tries to get over the finish line against Boston, a pretty flawed Celtics team. And, I do wonder if maybe Miami can sneak up and steal game 1, just ride the momentum, and Denver's been off for 10 days. Like, you feel like that's their best chance. Like, if they're going to win this series, maybe they steal one early here.
I know we were talking pre-show. Basically, either Denver's going to win that game by 25 or the Heat will just steal it by like 3.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. I feel like the blowout's more likely, but hey, the Heat they've put the doubters to rest throughout the playoffs. So let's see, Nuggets in 5 from Bulls for Life. You should check out our Bulls YouTube channel, youtube.com/@BullsReport.
I'll grab those L3s real quick.
Mo saying Dallas and Denver in 6. Logan Carruthers, Nuggets in 5. We've got, let's see, what else? Heat in 6 from DG Sports Talk. Let's see. He says Heat in 6. Then Lillard to Miami in the offseason. So talk about greedy. He thinks he's going to win the chip, and he's going to get Damian Lillard. Trade Dame for Jalen Brown. That's an interesting question, Rashard Lee. Hashtag NBA if you want us to answer that or give our thoughts. Hornets in 4. The Hornets have a long way to go if they're going to get to where they want to go. Nuggets in 6 from Cali Lama. I'm Nuggets 5, Nuggets 6. I'm somewhere in there. If the Nuggets dominate game 1, I think I'll be leaning Nuggets in 5. But if it's competitive, or hell, if the Heat steal it, I'll still lean Nuggets, but I think I'd be more in that Nuggets in 6 range. Let's see, Dame or Butler? I mean, right now I think you have to go Jimmy Butler. He's always been a much better defender, and look, he's more proven in the playoffs. You got to give him his diamonds, man. He's getting it done on the biggest stage. Heat in 7 from Raphael. We'll see, man. We will see. We're going to take a look at the top 25 free agents plus some honorable mentions on today's show. And 2 of the top guys, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, set to hit the open market. Harden's got a player option, but all expectations are that he will opt out. Who is the better free agent? Type JH for James Harden or KI for Kyrie Irving. Who is the better player to sign? I think Kyrie's the better player.
He is.
He also comes with, Harden comes with his headaches as well, but Kyrie probably comes with a few more headaches historically. I think Kyrie is still the better free agent, though. Like, if you're adding him, I think there's more on-court impact than Harden would provide.
I think Kyrie's still the younger player. He's still the more skilled player, I believe. James Harden's at the end of his prime, if not declining already. I will say this. I credit James Harden for how he's revamped his game over the last couple years.
Thought he played pretty well this year, honestly.
I did too. And I think he'll get a significant contract, maybe from the Houston Rockets. That's what it sounds like. So we'll see what happens, but I still think both of these guys are good players that'll help any team.
Raphael says Kyrie Irving. Free Smoke says Kyrie as well. So does Rashard Lee. I'll actually push back, Rashard. You're calling it hard and washed. Look, when he's bad, he's bad. There's no doubt about it. But the Sixers don't even have a chance in that series if he doesn't do what he does in their 3 wins. I mean, he was tremendous in Game 1 without Joel Embiid dropping 42 points. So he's still got a lot in the tank. Now, is he worth a max contract? I wouldn't say that, but I think like 30 to 35 million per year, on like a 3-year deal, he's definitely worth. So we'll see what he ends up getting as well. Someone says, are you guys going to stream tomorrow? The answer is yes. Chase Sr., Nick Roloff will be live for Game 1 of the NBA Finals, and we'll be live for the entire series, whether it's that combination or different combo moving forward. But I think Games 1 and 2 is going to be that combo. Then we'll go from there. So be on the lookout for that. NBA Finals getting started tomorrow night. 7 o'clock Central Time, I think we'll go live with the 7:30 tip. So we'll have some fun, as always, with that. Live Q&A, use hashtag NBA or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. If you have any trade ideas, free agency questions, draft questions, get those in. Try to refrain from asking about the NBA Finals specifically. We want to ask more and answer more off-season questions. So get those questions in, hashtag NBA or Super Chat. If you Super Chat, guaranteed to get on the show. Another good way is to do hashtag NBA. I encourage trade questions. Those are a lot of fun. So if you have any of those, load those up. Draft free agency, those are accepted as well. Now, is Jalen Brown worth the supermax contract? 5 years, $295 million. Big decision the Celtics have to make as he has 1 year left on his deal. Do you give him that supermax? Do you let this year play out? Do you trade him? Type Y for yes and for no. Is Jalen Brown worth the max? Let us know what you guys think in the comments. J-Pin says, is Tyler Herro coming back? We got a Tyler Herro injury update kicking off NBA news and rumors today, so stay tuned. If you're a Heat fan, potentially some good news there. I'll give you that little tweet. Callie Lama says yes. John Edward Kruger also saying yes. Raphael says yes as well. By the way, Jeffrey Jamestown, you're using hashtag space NBA. You got to do hashtag NBA, no spaces. Otherwise, our software doesn't pick it up. And producer Coop can't get that awesome question on the show. So hashtag NBA or Super Chat to get those questions there. Rashard Lee says it's up in the air. Yeah, I think so. It could be a deal where the Celtics go to him and be like, hey, we're going to give you 5 for like 260, 5 for 250, where, hey, we're giving you 50 a year, but we're not going to give you 60. So we'll have to wait and see. Sam Jordan says he's worth it. He's only 26, going to continue to get better. He's a two-way player. Yeah, I thought his defense slipped a bit this year, but yeah, he's been a good two-way player in this league, and I don't want to overreact to the last series, but $60 million a year on average is a lot for a player who's not a number one. He's closer to a 3 than a 1, probably. So I think he's a 2, but I don't think you're not winning a title with him as your number 1, and it's still up for debate if you can win one with him as your number 2. So those are the questions the Celtics have to answer themselves. All right, guys, like this video if you love the NBA, if you're excited for today's show, get those likes in, and then we'll jump on into the program. Lots to discuss. Like we previously mentioned, we'll start with the latest NBA news and rumors coming up here in just a minute. But hit that like button to support the show, and then we will jump into today's show. Whenever producer Coop is ready, we will rock and roll. So hit that like button right now. Other things to stay tuned for: top 25 free agents. We'll answer your questions. Hashtag NBA or Super Chat. Plus, we will also take a look at ESPN's latest NBA mock draft. NBA draft less than a month away. All of that coming up. But first, we got the latest NBA news and rumors, including an injury update for the NBA Finals. What's up, Hoopers? Harrison Graham here from NBA Now from Chat Sports. We got some NBA news and rumors to get you guys caught up. A lot of buzz around Jalen Brown and Damian Lillard. We'll get to that coming up here in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about the NBA Finals here a little bit. Tyler Herro, is he set to return? He, of course, fractured his hand in the first round of the playoffs against the Milwaukee Bucks, which seems like forever ago, right? I remember thinking, wow, the Heat steal game 1 against Milwaukee, but it doesn't matter because Herro, your second best player, is now out for the series, and you're screwed. Well, they beat the Bucks in 5. They beat the Knicks in 6. They beat the Celtics in 7. And now Tyler Herro, he fast forward 6-7 weeks. He's got a chance to return during the finals, according to Chris Haynes. Says that he's ramping up his workouts and is expected to make his return at some point during the NBA Finals, with Game 3 being the likely target, league sources tell NBA, TNT, and Bleacher Report. So, look, this would be a big win for Miami. I know there's been a little talk, like especially when the Heat got up 3-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. We all thought they were going to sweep Boston. There was some talk of, do you even want Tyler Herro back at this point? I think you saw the next 3 games with some, and even a little bit in Game 7, to be honest, a team that struggled to score at times. Like, you would absolutely take Tyler Herro back into the fold. I mean, this is a 20-point scorer. He can dish a little bit as well. Now, he's not great defensively, and I think the debate is, how much does he play? Does he start? Does he come off the bench? Like, I might keep Caleb Martin in the starting lineup if he's the guy you would have to take out. So those are questions. But if he's healthy and ready to go, I think you absolutely work him back into the mix here. And, if Game 3 is that target, if you're Miami, you're hoping to split the first 2, and then it's a best of 5 with your second best player coming back. Here's Tyler Herro via the Miami Herald. He says, I'm going to be working out every day, twice, 2, 3 times a day from here on until the day hopefully I come back. So I'm always going to continue to work hard and see how my body responds day by day and try to come back as soon as possible. You look at the NBA Finals, the logos indicate the home teams, by the way. Game 1, Thursday night, June 1st there as we start the month of June. Then you've got, the schedule kind of works out Miami's favor. You got 2 days in between games 1 and 2, and then 2 days between games 2 and 3. The NBA tries to stretch out these finals to really maximize their TV time here. So, you're still a week away from Game 3 right now. So, if he's close to returning today, well, in a week, you would think he'd be even closer. Then you got Game 4 on the 9th, Game 5 on the 12th, and then the 15th and 18th to wrap up the series if it does get to 7 games. So the question is this: will Tyler Herro play in the NBA Finals? Type P for play or S for sit. I think he'll return. If he's healthy, there's no reason to not work him back in. Now, if the Heat somehow go win the first 2 games in Denver, maybe you don't rush him back. But if it's anything less than a 2-0 advantage for Miami, I expect Tyler Herro to return to this series. Let's get to the rumors portion of this show. The latest on Damian Lillard, as he recently said he is not interested in the Blazers acquiring developmental players. So Dame, obviously getting older, wants to win at this point in his NBA career. Here's what Brian Windhorst of ESPN had to say. He says he wants help right now. He is not saying, if you don't get me help, then I'm leaving, but you don't need a roadmap to figure that out. Now, we've kind of gone down this road before where it's like, this is the time Dame requests a trade. But maybe this is actually the time he would request a trade if the offseason doesn't go to plan. Now, the Blazers have some ammunition for the first time in a while. They hold the number 3 pick in the NBA draft. That is a very strong trade chip to try to acquire a win-now player to pair with Damian Lillard. Because the Blazers have had trouble signing free agents in the past, well, you're going to have to trade for one. The number 3 pick certainly can help you do that. Here's Wendy once again. He says, this is one of the biggest things hanging over the NBA for the next month. I'm not sure the Celtics will be involved, but I do think a lot of teams are watching. The Blazers have not tipped their hand yet. It's still a mystery. I'm not sure they have it figured out yet. And that's okay. They have a lot of things to consider. Number one, they got to figure out, okay, do we like Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller better? Obviously, they may not have the choice. One of those guys will likely go number 2. But if the guy they like better falls to number 3, well, then that's something to consider. This could be something that happens on draft night. They might wait and see who falls to 3 and then determine whether or not they're going to try and make a trade or not. Let's be honest, though. If you're trying to keep Dame long-term, you got to pair him with a win-now superstar. I'm not sure who that is. Can you get a Paul George? Can you get someone of that ilk? Can you go get a Jalen Brown? It's interesting that Windhorst mentioned Boston kind of just nonchalantly there. Could they be a team that's rumored to move up to the number 3 pick? I think that could be a possibility, but clock's ticking. I mean, Dame's not going to be in his prime forever. Played really well this year, but the injuries have crept up, and his contract's not getting cheaper, that's for sure. I mean, you look at this exponentially just going up and up and up and up. I mean, the time is now if you're Portland. I think you either have to trade Damian Lillard or you have to try and get him a real superstar this offseason. This in-between thing just isn't going to work anymore. They've been stuck in the middle for too long, so try to go all in. It's no guarantee, but you got the number 3 pick to do it in a really good draft, so teams will be interested, or trade your superstar. That's kind of where you're at. You're at a crossroads if you're Portland, so you got about a month to figure it out. Should Portland keep or trade the number 3 pick? Type T for trade or K for keep. I would trade it. I would try to make it work with Damian Lillard, a guy who's been loyal to you, and see if I can win a championship. Obviously, it's an uphill climb, but that is what I would do if I was Portland. Let me know what you guys would do. T for trade, or you can type K for keep. BetUS sponsoring today's show, and they are the best place to go bet on the NBA Finals. Get started today at chatsports.com/bet and plug in our promo code chat125. That's going to get you a 125% deposit bonus. Throw down $100 when you sign up. They'll give you an additional $125 for free. Go bet on Game 1. Nuggets big favorites, 9-point favorites there. The over/under in Game 1, 219.5. I can actually see this being the under, where Miami's just gassed and they score like 92 points and they lose like 110-92. I could see something like that. So I like the under, and I do like the Nuggets to cover. I think they come out and smack Miami in Game 1. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code chat125. Get started with BetUS, player props, series props, finals MVP, all kinds of stuff you can bet on during the NBA Finals. Jalen Brown, let's get you caught up on the latest there. A lot of discussion about what Boston's going to do with him. Is he going to get a supermax? Are they going to trade him? We shall see, but he is eligible for a 5-year, $295 million contract extension this offseason. Now, Jalen Brown had arguably the best season of his career, but then he didn't play that great in the playoffs. The numbers shrunk. He averaged over 26 in the regular season, under 23 in the playoffs. His rebounding was down. Assist about the same, field goal percentage about the same. Three-point percentage technically was up, but in the Eastern Conference Finals, he really struggled in that department. I think he shot like 17% from 3 against the Miami Heat, and in Game 7, he really was underwhelming when they needed him because Jason Tatum tweaked his ankle on that first possession. Now here's Jalen Brown on potential contract extension discussions with Boston. He said, "My thought process is take it one day at a time. Focus on getting better, focus on what the future holds, and see where we are from there." Now, Jalen Brown has not been shy about being frustrated at times with the Boston Celtics. I think he's been upset with the fan base at times. I definitely think he was upset with the trade talks where they reportedly tried to acquire Kevin Durant at the NBA trade deadline. He felt that was disrespectful. You know what wouldn't be disrespectful? If they gave him this deal. 5 years, almost $300 million. I mean, over $50 million per year, and on average about $60 million per year. The question is Jalen Brown worth that? He's worth it if you think him and Tatum can get you a title. That's the question. Can that happen? Look, last year they were 2 games away. They've been close. This year they were 1 game away from the finals despite all kinds of distractions. You lose Ime Udoka 2 weeks before the season. Joe Mazzulla at times doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. Jalen Brown himself struggled, and you were still just 1 game away from the finals. So I don't think the Boston Celtics are just miles away from winning a title. But you still have to answer the question, is he worth $300 million? Like, does that handicap you from chasing a championship in Boston? I'm not sure. I definitely think it's something the Celtics have to consider. Jalen Brown has to consider his future. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He could certainly just play next year out and hit the open market in 2024. So lots of things at stake for both parties as they move forward. What do you guys think? Is Jalen Brown worth the supermax? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. I think after the regular season, most of us would have said yes, but a somewhat underwhelming playoff performance could have people thinking otherwise. Y for yes and for no. Let me know what you guys think. All right. Lee says no. J. Rich says no. Mauricio says the Heat are smacking Denver in Game 1. That would be an impressive feat if not only they went into Denver, but just dominated. That would be interesting. Y for yes and for no. Roger Dat says, bring Jalen Brown home to Atlanta. I do think a Jalen Brown to Hawks trade is going to be rumored a lot, Producer Coop.
Yeah, I mean, that's his hometown. There's been a lot of rumors about that. I mean, but what would the Hawks offer? Would it be a John Collins kind of deal? I don't think it would be Trae Young going the other way. So I think it would be John Collins and other assets that the Hawks have. I think it would be a difficult deal to pull off, but that'll be one of the more rumored ones.
He loves ATL. I mean,
no doubt.
He drove all the way down there to do protests a couple of years ago. Like, he's well connected in that community. So we'll see. I mean, I think he's at a crossroads where, like, I think deep down he'd like to play elsewhere. But if that offer is on the table, you just can't turn it down. $300 million.
That's money you just can't turn down.
Well, and again, like, you take it, and if you want to just demand a trade in 2 years.
You take it. You sign the dotted line, trade me.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens. We'll have a mailbag coming up here in about 15 minutes. So use hashtag NBA or Super Chat. Get your questions on the show. Again, ask about trade ideas, free agency, draft questions. Try to not ask specifically about the finals. We can answer a few of those, but we're going to focus more on trades and the offseason stuff. So think of that when you get those hashtag NBA questions in. All right, coming up next, top 25 NBA free agents for 2023. We'll take a look at some of the top available players. My name's Harrison Graham, and you are watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. On today's show, we're going to take a look at the top 25 NBA free agents for 2023. Not the strongest crop of players this year. I think it'll be a robust trade market this offseason, but still some notable guys to monitor this offseason. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Number one, Kyrie Irving, the unrestricted free agent with the Dallas Mavericks. And look, he makes this interesting in an otherwise underwhelming free agency year because you just don't know what the hell this guy is going to do. I thought he played pretty well with Dallas after the trade deadline, averaged 27 and 6, shot the ball well both from the field and from three-point range. The Mavs have made their stance pretty clear. They want to bring him back. They can offer him the most money, but we don't really know what goes on in Kyrie's brain, so we'll see what he opts to do. He seemed happy in Dallas in his short stint there, but does he want to go play with LeBron? Does he want to, reunite with KD in Phoenix in some weird scenario? Who the hell knows? Kyrie is obviously the top name to watch. The second name to watch is James Harden, who I want to give Harden some credit. While he's a headache at times on the floor, I thought he bounced back pretty nicely this year from a couple of down years. A lot of us thought he was cooked after last season, and he played pretty well. Now, he had a couple of duds in that Eastern Conference second-round series against Boston, but they don't get to Game 7 without him. He dropped 42 in that Game 1 win without Joel Embiid. Had a couple of other big games as well. Certainly had some bad games in there, but he did enough to get paid. He's got a player option, but he's expected to opt out. The Houston Rockets expected to be linked to bring him back. Philadelphia should be in the mix as well. Kristaps Porzingis, the big out of Washington, he's got a player option, and look, when he signed that deal with Dallas, a lot of people thought he would opt in due to his injury history, but in a weak free agency group and with him having a mostly healthy year and playing well for the Wizards, I bet he opts out and gets a bigger contract. So we'll see if he re-signs with Washington or goes elsewhere, but good to see KP playing some good ball this year. Draymond Green, a really interesting one. Does he opt in to his player option? I actually think that could happen with the Golden State Warriors. What happens now that Bob Myers has exited? Draymond Green said on his podcast recently, if Bob Myers isn't here, I may not be here. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Be weird to see him in a different uniform, but I do think there's a scenario where it could happen. How about Fred VanVleet, who's also got a player option with the Raptors, but I believe he will opt out. And he actually already tweeted out support of Nick Nurse getting the Sixers job. So if James Harden were to exit Philadelphia, I think a natural replacement would be Fred VanVleet. He's obviously a different style player, more of a scoring guard, which obviously Harden is as well, but Harden's a better distributor. And, VanVleet's not the most efficient player, but he's a Nick Nurse guy. I think that would be a natural fit. You wouldn't have to pay him the max, where Harden may cost you the max. So that's a potential development. If he leaves Toronto, I think Philadelphia could make a lot of sense. Now, who is the best free agent this year. What do you guys think? Best player on the market. I think it's Kyrie. You could argue Harden, you could argue a couple other guys, but even though Kyrie comes with off-the-court headaches you'd rather not deal with, it's still a 25, 30-point scorer who can go for 50 at any given night. So I would lean him. Let me know what you guys think. Best free agent this year. Okay, we'll go 6 through 10 here. Jeremy Grant, who, at this point in his career, is he just a good stats, bad team guy? I don't know. I mean, he's a good defender, versatile player, but everywhere he goes, the teams he's on stink. Like, when Portland got him last offseason, I was like, I actually like that next to Dame. It's not a title contender, but they should be back at the playoffs. Obviously, they had some injury problems, but they didn't even flirt with the playoffs. I mean, that was disappointing. I'll be curious to see where he lands. Chris Middleton, how do teams feel about him? He missed a good chunk of the season when he did play. He didn't play that well. He averaged like 15 points per game this year. I mean, you look at the numbers, not that good. Now, I thought he played a little better down the stretch. He was actually pretty good in that elimination game against Miami. They still lost, but I think he scored like 30 points and was pretty solid. He's definitely not getting a max. He's got a player option. Does he opt in now? I mean, I would consider it at $35 million if I'm Chris Middleton, but kind of unclear, I think, on him what his market could be. Brook Lopez, another free agent with the Milwaukee Bucks. He is unrestricted. Talk about a guy who's just revitalized his career. Had a great start to his career. Kind of a bad middle few years, but the last several years with the Bucks, he's been really good. Good shot blocker, can stretch to the three-point line. I like him quite a bit, and that's why I've got him ahead of a Nikola Vucevic who, puts up overall better raw numbers, right? Like you look at Vucevic's offensive scoring, you're like, okay, this is a better player on paper than Brook Lopez, but he's not the defender that Lopez is. I think Lopez translates to winning more with his shot blocking ability, and I think he's just got overall better defensive attributes. I still like Vooch. I think on certain teams he could be a winning piece. There's reports that the Bulls might sign Vooch to a contract extension, which is a bit of a puzzling decision to me if that ends up happening. Kyle Kuzma, who had the best year of his career, I would say, with the Washington Wizards, reports suggest he will re-sign. He also has a player option, but I think he will opt out and get a pay raise, and I do think he'll stay with Washington. What is curious, as they also have Bradley Beal in the mix, what if Washington can only keep one? Which one do they keep? Type KP for Kristaps Porzingis, type Kuz for Kyle Kuzma. I think KP's the better player, but Kuz doesn't have the injuries. Andy's coming off a career year. Tough one to answer. KP for Porzingis or Kuz for Kyle Kuzma. Next up is Cameron Johnson, who, look, I thought the Nets did really well with getting Mikal Bridges and Johnson in that trade for Kevin Durant. Both those guys really excelled in bigger roles. I thought Johnson played well, shot 40% from three on higher volume, 15 points per game. He will be sought out as a 3-and-D free agent. Jordan Clarkson, who is a 6-man of the year guy. He can start as well. Combo guard, who's a 20-point scorer. He's got a player option. I think he'll opt out and look for a pay raise. Austin Reeves, one of the most intriguing names in NBA free agency this year. Undrafted. We kind of know the story at this point. He just kind of plugs and plays and gets better and better. And look at what this guy did in the playoffs this year with the Lakers. I mean, he was unconscious, averaged 17 points per game, dishes out 4.6 assists per game, shot the ball well from the field, unreal from three at over 44%. I think he's going to get some real money. I would not be shocked if he got $15 to $20 million per year. So keep an eye on that. And that's the reason I've got him ahead of D'Angelo Russell. I know Russell has more raw talent. He's got more accolades. His career stats are better. I get all that. But who was better by a pretty wide margin when it counted most? Austin Reeves. Look at D'Lo's playoff numbers. 13 points per game. Assists were similar, sure, but field goal percentage worse. 3-point percentage much worse. I think Austin Reeves is a better win-now player. Like, if I'm the Lakers and I got to pick one of these, I'm keeping Austin Reeves. He's younger, and I think he fits better. Jakob Poeltl, who got traded from San Antonio to Toronto at the deadline, and now he might leave Toronto, so that looks like a weirder and weirder deal for the Raptors by the day at this point. But good defensive center who can score around the basket, so keep an eye on where he could end up. By the way, with Austin Reeves, restricted free agent, so the Lakers can match. If you want NBA coverage all year long, join the family here at Chat Sports. We got the latest NBA news, rumors, finals coverage. Every single finals game, we're going to be live here on the channel, so join us for that. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. Don't miss any of it over the next couple of months especially. Okay, a few more free agents here. Gary Trent Jr., good scorer. Has he flatlined as a player? We'll see. He's got a player option. I'll be curious to see if he opts in or opts out. Harrison Barnes, who, what I like about Barnes is he understands his role. If I'm Sacramento, I'm trying to bring him back. He's, 13 to 15 points. He can stretch the three-point line. Good defender. I think he's a winning piece. Russell Westbrook. Look, I've said this for a couple years. If he's willing to embrace a super six-man role for not a massive contract, I think he can be effective. I like how he was playing with the Lakers earlier in the year. I really liked how he played with the Clippers. I mean, when Kawhi and Paul George weren't available due to injuries, Russell Westbrook was playing his ass off in the playoffs. So, listen, if it's for a less than $20 million per year type of contract, I think he's got value. Josh Hart expected to opt out of his player option. Tried to combine opt out and player option there. I think he'll opt out, get a little bit of a pay raise, stay with the New York Knicks. I think that is expected for him. How much money will Josh Hart get on the open market? 15 mil? 18? Could he flirt with 20? I'm thinking like 3 years and 51 million, 17 a year. I could see something in that range. What do you guys think? Good defender that can play really the 2 through 4 on both sides of the floor. Are you a real one? If you're a subscriber to Chat Sports, that makes you a real one. So get yourself a Real One t-shirt. Represent wherever you hang, wherever you live with the Real One shirt. We got black shirts, red, blue, pretty much every color known to man. Purple as well. Check these out today in all sizes. Chatsports.com/Real One. That link is in the comments and in the description. Click and shop today. Get yourself a Real One Chat Sports t-shirt. How about Bruce Brown, who's earned himself some money during the NBA playoffs? He's kind of served as the top benchman for Denver. First player off the bench type of role there. Can score, put the ball on the ground. He can shoot the ball pretty well from the outside, although he struggled a bit from three in the playoffs, but great defender as well. Still young. I think he's got some pretty good value. How about Rui Hachimura, who the Lakers stole from the Washington Wizards? He's a restricted free agent as well. If I'm LA, I'm trying to re-sign him and Austin Reeves. He could command a decent price tag, though, in free agency. Karis LeVert with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll be curious to see what his market was. I loved him in Indiana. I don't think he was that great of a fit with Cleveland because they already had Darius Garland, and obviously they traded for Donovan Mitchell. I think he goes elsewhere, and I think he'll get back to having a bigger role. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, we'll kind of just pair them together here with the Miami Heat. Different type of players, but both guys who can shoot the three ball. Vincent, more of a point guard who can handle. Strus, a little bit better of a defender. It'll be interesting what the Heat do after the playoffs with these guys. It's going to be hard to bring back both. They may have to pick one. Grant Williams, restricted free agent with the Boston Celtics. Look, say what you want. Probably not the best look to try and get in a heated debate with Jimmy Butler, but he didn't back down, and he's a good role player. I think he's going to get some decent cash in free agency. Here are some honorable mention free agents, 10 more players to monitor. Christian Wood, the big with the Mavericks, kind of a empty stats guy. I still wonder if he could be a winning piece for a team. 7-footer who can score at all three levels. That's certainly intriguing. Dylan Brooks, if you take away the smack talk, he's a good role player, but unfortunately he likes to call out LeBron James. Dennis Schroeder, good defensive guard. Decent enough offensive player. I think he's kind of a mid-level type of guy. Naz Reid, decent center. He's out there. Kelly Oubre, 30K Oubre. Maybe he returns to the Warriors. Real ones know. PJ Washington with the Hornets. He's restricted, so we'll see what happens there. Dante DiVincenzo has a player option. Does he opt in? Does he opt out? You got Malik Beasley, Kenyon Martin Jr., and Matisse Thybulle, a couple of other players as well. So few guys on the open market to monitor. Okay, let us know who your favorite team is and who you want them to sign. Like, for example, I'm a Mavs fan. I would like to see them sign Kyrie Irving back, because if not, that trade was a disaster. So let me know who you would like to see your favorite team sign in free agency, and of course, drop your favorite team in the comments section. Hit that sub button. Our coverage is just beginning with the offseason upon us, although we still have NBA Finals coverage as well, so don't miss out on any of it. All right, 2 segs down, 2 to go. 2.5. Got a little Bulls talk in at the end as well. Hashtag NBA or Super Chat. Get those questions on the show, and then we will keep it rolling here. So if you have a question, use hashtag NBA or Super Chat to get those questions in, and we will be good to go. Uptown Dre says Miami wins the chip. Gabe Vincent and Max stay in Miami. We'll see. They got some decisions to make. Maybe they trade Tyler Herro.
Could. I think the more likely scenario is Duncan Robinson actually regains some value, which I think he has during the playoffs.
He's been good, man. I don't think they win that last series without him.
No, and I think he would be more likely to be moved. Yeah. It would be interesting what they could get for Robinson. I mean, look, if you can find shooting like that in the NBA, you look for it. He's on an expensive deal, but I think teams will value him.
And I think he only has, does he have 2 years left?
I think it's 2 more years after this.
That's not bad. Like, it's not like you're stuck with him for 4 years if he's not a great fit. So, hashtag NBA Super Chat. Throw us your trade ideas, your free agency questions, draft questions, whatever you got. Throw them our way. We'll take your questions, and then after that, we'll get into ESPN's latest NBA mock draft. As the draft is under a month away, June 22nd. We, of course, will have all of the coverage between now and then and on draft night. All right, mailbag time. Here we go. You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I'm Harrison Graham. It is mailbag time, so use hashtag NBA or Super Chat. That way, producer Coop can get your questions here answered on the show. We'll get things started here with Coach Dreadhead. He says Portland trades Dame Dalla for Tyler Herro, Max Strus, Victor Oladipo, and a future pick. It's not a bad offer. I think you'd probably want multiple picks there just because Tyler Herro's got an expensive contract, good player, but he doesn't play defense. Strus is a free agent, so that would have to be a sign and trade for him. Oladipo just kind of fills out. Is he a free agent too, by the way? I'd have to double check that. Either way, he's on a minimum type of deal. I think Herro plus players is a decent package, Dreadhead, but I think Portland would actually probably ask for a little bit more if I had to guess. XD Gamer, thoughts on possibly Orlando packaging those 2 lottery picks for a star? It's intriguing. Orlando's one of those teams where, like, they've been so bad for so long. Do you keep rebuilding with draft pick, or do you eventually just pull the trigger? Like, for example, I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are at a level where they should pull the trigger on a trade. They've got a ton of picks to move. You can't just keep drafting players. Like, you've got SGA, you've got Giddey, you've got Lou Dort. Like, you've got your core for your OKC, so now's the time to trade for someone. But if you're Orlando, like, does a trade for a star get you to the level where you can contend? I don't know. Like, I don't know if you have enough of a nucleus there just yet. XT Shard, should the Suns trade CP3? I mean, look, it's something to consider, right? The question is, what are you actually getting for him? I mean, he's, 38, 39 years old. He has injury problems. He seems to always get hurt in the playoffs. He's still a good-ish player when healthy. Now, I do think we saw last year, like, he's a bit over the hill. Like, he definitely has lost a step. Doesn't mean he still can't be effective. He's still a good distributor, decent enough shooter, but he's not like guy who can bail you out in the playoffs anymore. Like, he's a complimentary piece making, $35 million a year or whatever it is. So I think it's something they'll explore. They'll definitely explore trading DeAndre Ayton. But if you're trading Chris Paul, don't expect some major return. Like, I just don't think that's realistic. Best player to get traded to this summer. If you had to guess, who is the best player that gets dealt? Does Jalen Brown get traded? Does Damian Lillard? Paul George? Let us know in the comments who is the best player that will get shipped out this offseason. From Mo9659, can the Dallas Mavericks get Al Horford and Marcus Smart, not DeMarcus, in a trade with Boston? Producer Coop, help me out here. You can throw the mic on. Al Horford and Smart. What does that even look like? Let me first pull up Al Horford's contract.
I know, and Smart's making like $17 million a year, so that's a decent chunk of change. The Mavs would have the assets to do it, but it would have to be like both Tim Hardaway Jr. and Davis Bertans to get that deal done.
Horford has 2 years and $19.5 million left on his deal, so he's like $9.5, $10 million. So $27 million. So like maybe you go like Tim Hardaway, Josh Green. and the number 10 pick for those two players, I might do that, to be honest. For Smart and Horford,
I don't know about the number 10 pick.
how about your future? How about 2027 first?
I might do that.
Because I think Smart's better than Hardaway as a winning piece. He is more of a winning piece than Hardaway. Come on.
Yeah, no,
he is. He's a better defender, and he stays healthier more consistently. And Horford, I know he's old, but he is still the best big you've had in years if you got him. So I'm just saying. I don't know. I'd consider it. Jeffrey Jamestown, what do you think the Celtics will do in free agency? I think they're more of a trade team to watch. They're going to have limited flexibility in free agency to move pieces around. So it's going to be tough. They got to make a decision on Jalen Brown. I think that's number one. I think whatever happens this offseason, you have to be convicted in what you're doing in Jalen Brown. You either need to extend him to the supermax or close to it. Maybe he agrees to a little bit less. And you're committed to him and Tatum moving forward, or you trade him. I don't think just playing this year out with him on the final year of his deal is a good idea. I think you have to be convicted in your decision-making. Brad Stevens, I think, is a good, front office guy. I think he's made good decisions. So I think that's step one. Make a decision on Jalen Brown. Subscribe to the channel for NBA coverage throughout the offseason and all year long here on YouTube. News, rumors, trade buzz. We'll have NBA Finals watch parties as well. Don't miss any of it. We've got you covered. Extra Gamer 47, now that Bob Myers is gone in Golden State, is this the beginning of the end for the Warriors? I don't think it's necessarily the beginning of the end because he's leaving. I think it's the beginning of the end potentially because their core is getting old. I mean, Steph is, 34 now? Draymond's 33, 34. Clay's kind of an old 32, 33 with his injuries. I still think they have maybe 1 or 2 more years where they could make a push, but this is what happens, man. Dynasties don't last forever. They've won 4 titles in 9 seasons. It's been a historic run. Again, I think they could retool a bit and make 1 or maybe 2 more big runs, but Draymond's got a player option. What do you do with him? Do you give Clay another contract? So they got some decisions to make. I don't think it's over, but they're a pretty far ways down on the back 9. There's no doubt about it. Will the Warriors win another title? What do you guys think? With this core, I'm not talking about ever. With Steph Curry, how about that? Will they win another championship? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let me know what you guys think. I definitely think they can, but it's looking a little more slim in terms of chances these days. Raphael, hashtag NBA or Super Chat to get y'all's questions in. Dame Dalla to Miami for Strus, Robinson, and Lowry. I don't think that's enough. Strus is a nice role player. Robinson's a good shooter. Lowry, those 3 first-round picks there, sure. I don't think just those players are enough. You got to get some picks back there. Who's the best player in that deal? Lowry is, talk about over the hill. He's 36. Robinson was out of the rotation at times this year. And Strus is he's a solid player, but that's not nearly enough. You got to throw some draft capital in there. Blake Robinson, is this the year Bradley Beal finally gets traded? If it's not this year, I don't know when it is. At some point, you have to give a damn about winning, right? And look, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's listen, I'm making a ton of money. I get to shoot the ball a lot. And if we win, cool. If not, I ain't tripping. I don't know. Maybe Bradley Beal doesn't care about winning. And hey, part of me doesn't blame him. How cushy of a life do you have if you're Bradley Beal? No one gives a damn about the Wizards, right? So there's no pressure. You're on a max contract, and you're the best player, so you can pretty much do whatever you want. It's a pretty envious life, if you ask me. Will the Wizards trade Bradley Beal, type T for trade, or K for keep? We've thought for years he would get moved, but it's the trade rumor that keeps on giving. Few more here. Rashard Lee, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, and Moses Moody, and picks for LeBron. I just don't see a world where LeBron gets traded, but if he does, I do think the Warriors are at the top of the list. You want to talk about making one more push with your core, get LeBron for next year and go all in on next year. Now, I will say this. If you trade for LeBron for next year, if you're Golden State, it's like 2024 is like your last hurrah, right? Because Wiggins is a young piece you're moving on from. Moody's a young piece. Like, you're mortgaging your future by trading picks. So, like, you have to understand that going in. But if you're trying to get one more big splashy title in Golden State, that's the type of trade that could potentially get it done. Appreciate your questions. If you have any more, tweet them at me at HGramNFL. I also cover the NBA, obviously. So slide in the DMs if you got any questions right there. Appreciate all of you for tuning in to Chat Sports. All right, who's the best player that gets traded this summer? Then we just got a super chat from John Dorman. Shout out Johnny. It's not a question. We could just flash it now. Shout out Johnny Dorman. He's more of an NFL fan, which we cover the NFL as well here at Chat Sports, so subscribe. NFL coverage not going anywhere. Appreciate the donation to John. Shout out John. Who is the best player that gets traded? Coop, you got any predictions? Best player that gets dealt?
It's a name we haven't talked about yet. I think Trae Young. I think that's my prediction.
I could see that. I think another one that we've talked in the office but not here on the show, I think DeMar DeRozan, decent chance he gets traded. Which, by the way, we're going to talk about the Bulls a little bit. If they're extending Vooch, like, are they trying to keep the big three together?
Like, if you're extending Vooch, then you have to keep DeRozan, right?
I just like if you can get a first and something for DeRozan, who has 1 year left on your deal, why wouldn't you do it? Like, I just don't think, and I love DeRozan, but he's 33. Like, you're not winning a title with him. You're too far away.
Yeah, and the way DeRozan plays, I think it could be kind of a fast decline for him as well.
Well, I think he could be good for a few more years only because he doesn't rely on extreme athleticism, but he doesn't shoot threes. Like, he's not a good defender. Like, he needs to go somewhere that has a true number one, whereas I think we all think LaVine's a number two. Like,
I don't think LaVine's a number one.
The problem is they have two number twos and a number three.
No doubt.
A big three without a number one is just too expensive contract.
They're kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere, and there's rumors that Lonzo Ball might not ever suit up in the NBA.
And that's handicapping them as well, twofold, because one, when they were the number one seed in the East the first half of last year, he was a big reason why.
He was incredible.
And two, he's making $20 million a year, so you're handicapped salary cap wise because you're stuck with that deal.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find something to do with Lonzo because if his surgery doesn't work out, I mean, they're really screwed. Yeah, they have Ayo, who's a pretty good replacement for him. But
can you stretch waive a guy who's got multiple years left or only 1 year?
If he were to retire, I think you could, but otherwise, I don't believe you.
I think that's what's going to end up happening. If he doesn't play next year, I think they'll stretch waive him the next year if he doesn't retire.
I could see that.
Just break it up over 3 years, $7 million over 3 years, or 20 over 3, but 7 per year. But yeah, we'll see. Evan Henders says LeBron. That would shock me, but it's LeBron. You never know.
Who knows?
I do think the Warriors are intriguing, Coop, because he could stay on the West Coast. It's not like he has to move, like get a condo in, San Francisco.
He could PJ from LA to San Fran if he wanted.
Get a condo in San Fran, like Kawhi style, and we go.
I will say I think he stays with the Lakers just because Bronny's going to USC this year, and he'll want to be present for that.
Maybe the year after that, the Warriors situation could happen.
Yeah, I mean, he just signed his extension, so he has 2 more years left on his contract with the Lakers. I think he stays there next year.
Sees what happens with Bronny.
I will say, I think for the first time in LeBron's career, it's sub 100% he does not get traded. Like, I would say it's like 97% he stays.
Yeah, like there's a chance he could get dealt. So, be interesting. All right, a couple more segments here. We're going to break down ESPN's latest mock draft and then a report around Nikola Vucevic and the Chicago Bulls to discuss. So, all of that and more ahead here on NBA Now. Welcome into NBA Now. I am Harrison Graham from Chat Sports, and on today's show, I'm going to react to ESPN's latest NBA mock draft. The NBA draft is closing in, folks, June 22nd, so less than a month away, less than 3 weeks away, just about here. So we're going to break down this mock. We'll kind of just go pick by pick here. Number 1 overall pick, no surprise. If there is a single mock draft that doesn't have Victor Wembanyama going to the Spurs number 1 overall, send me his name. He might have to be on the FBI's most wanted list. Number 2 overall, Brandon Miller. This is when the draft really starts. The forward out of Alabama. Is it Brandon Miller? Is it Scoot Henderson? A lot of the chatter is leaning Miller because the Hornets already have LaMelo Ball, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Number 3 overall pick, Scoot Henderson again. If it's not Miller, it's going to be Scoot. So they're going to go 2-3 out of the G League Ignite. This NBA draft is a top 3 heavy draft, and then things really get interesting starting with that 4th selection. But the big debate right now is who goes number 2? Who should go number 2? If you think it's Brandon Miller out of Alabama, type BM. If you think it's Scoot Henderson out of the G League Ignite, type SH. Let us know what you guys think. Who is the number 2 overall pick? Number 4 overall, the first of the Thompson brothers out of the Overtime Elite. It's Amen Thompson, who needs development offensively, but has good two-way skills and could turn into a nice player for the Houston Rockets. Detroit Pistons get Cam Whitmore, whose stock has been rising, two-way player out of Villanova. Really good defender, has a good offensive skill set, smooth three-point shot, and should only get better. Audrey Thompson, the brother of Amen Thompson out of the Overtime Elite. These guys should both go in the top 10. They might both go top 5. He lands with the Orlando Magic with the 6th selection. Jarris Walker out of the University of Houston, kind of a small lineup 5. That's what a lot of draft experts think his best role is, small ball 5. He could also play some 4 as well. His stock has been rising. He lands with Indiana. Anthony Black, number 8 overall pick out of Arkansas, arguably the best perimeter defender in this draft, has some offensive skills as well. Needs to improve on that jump shot, but he's young enough. That should come with time. Number 9 overall pick to the Utah Jazz, Dalen Hood Scafino, the guard out of Indiana. He goes to the Jazz. As you know, I like the little nucleus that Utah's building here. I think that rebuild could get kind of fast-tracked here. Taylor Hendricks, a player who has been mocked more than any other to the Dallas Mavericks, the forward out of UCF. Really good defender, physical player, can shoot the 3 ball as well. Plug-and-play 3-and-D player in the NBA. Now, a lot of chatter around the Dallas Mavericks and that number 10 pick. Will they keep it? Will they trade it for a player? What do you guys think? Will the Dallas Mavericks keep or trade the number 10 pick? Type T for trade or take K for keep. Predict it for us in the comments. Grady Dick goes number 11 to Orlando, the wing out of Kansas, one of the best pure shooters in this class, shot 40% from three-point range in college. Nick Smith Jr., the other Arkansas Razorback that should go in the lottery, he lands with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is kind of an interesting fit considering they already have SGA and Josh Giddey. Maybe they view him as like a super six-man type, so I find that fascinating. Jordan Hawkins, the guard out of UConn, his stock has been rising as well. Don't be surprised if he lands in the lottery as he's got skills both offensively and defensively. He lands with the Toronto Raptors. Derek Lively, the second, the center out of Duke, wraps up the lottery portion of this mock as he goes to the New Orleans Pelicans. Keontae George, who I think is one of the most polarizing prospects in this draft, I think in 3 years we're going to look back and he's either going to be a top 5 player from this draft or a borderline unplayable player. Like, his basketball IQ needs a lot of improvement, but he's a freaky athlete, has the skills to be a 3-level scorer, has to improve the shot selection, and has to lower the turnovers at the NBA level. He might need a year of development, but he's got the skill set to be really, really good. Now, we will be live for every single pick of this year's NBA draft, not just the first round. We'll be live for round 2 as well. A lot of channels, companies, they'll kind of mail it in after round 1. Not us. We will be live for every single selection, so subscribe. Plenty of draft coverage between now and then, and of course, on Thursday, June 22nd, we'll be live for the entire 2023 NBA draft. Kobe Buffkin, the guard out of Michigan, he's been moving up draft boards as well. Pretty good scorer. Curious to see where he goes. In this mock, he lands with the Utah Jazz. Cason Wallace, the guard out of Kentucky. It's not an NBA draft without a Kentucky player going round 1. He lands with the Lakers at the 17th selection. Jet Howard, the wing out of Michigan, he goes to the Miami Heat. He obviously focused on the finals, but they've got a top 20 pick that they're going to have to make as well. Rand Rupert out of the New Zealand Breakers, probably the top Australian developmental league that is out there. He lands with Golden State in the top 20 here. And then the Rockets, once again, here at 20. They get Noah Clowney, the other Alabama player who I actually really like. I think he's going to be a good pro. Brandon Miller, obviously, getting all the focus there. But Clowney is a player that should play well at the NBA level also. If you want to go bet on the NBA Finals or go, do some NBA draft prop bets, who's going to go number 2, etc., BetUS is the place to do it. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code chat125. Put down $100. They're going to give you an additional $125 for free. Go make some money. And hey, go find some value with the Miami Heat. They're big underdogs for a reason. Nuggets minus 410 to win the NBA Finals. The Miami Heat plus 330. So your better values with the Heat. But if you're super confident in the Nuggets, go put some big money down to make some money today. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code chat125. Bilal Coulibaly, also a teammate of Victor Wembanyama, the wing out of the Metropolitan 92s. He goes to the Brooklyn Nets here. They have back-to-back picks. I'll be curious to see if they actually make both these selections. Maybe they package them to move up. Leonard Miller, the forward out of the G League Ignite, also lands with Brooklyn with the 22nd selection in this mock draft from ESPN. James Nagy out of Barcelona, the center. He's been getting some buzz as well. He lands with the Portland Trailblazers, 23 overall. Obviously, Portland a team to watch. They trade 3 to get a player around Damian Lillard. What do they do with this pick? Something to monitor. Chris Murray, the forward out of Iowa, the younger brother of Keegan Murray. He also lands at the Sacramento Kings. That'd be a fun story if he reunited with his brother. 25th pick here, Bryce Sensabaugh, the forward out of, is this Oklahoma State or Ohio State? Here with the 25th overall selection. He goes to the Memphis Grizzlies. 5 more pick here. Derek Whitehead out of Duke. A couple of Dukies should go in the first round this year. He goes to Indiana. 27th pick here for the Charlotte Hornets. Brandon Podziemski, the guard out of Santa Clara. That program's been pretty good the last couple of years. Podziemski could get them a first-round pick. First one in a while. Maybe first one since Nashi. No, Did they have one? That's right, Jalen Williams-Lasher. See, they've been plugging them out year in and year out. Utah Jazz, 28th pick, Olivier Maxence-Prosper, the forward out of Marquette. Really good defender, freaky athlete too, like really long wingspan, so keep an eye on him. He could sneak up some boards. Colby Jones, the forward out of Xavier, sneaks in round 1 to the Indiana Pacers, and then wrapping things up, Maxwell Lewis, the forward out of Pepperdine, goes to the Los Angeles Clippers with the 30th pick. So there you go. Grade ESPN's latest NBA mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know how you felt Javoni did. All right, A, B, C, D, or F. It's all good. Who else do they even have over there?
It's that, I can't even think of his name. But didn't Javoni take the job with Portland?
No, that was
Mike Schmitz.
It's got to be Javoni, right? Who's their other guy? Maybe it's not Javoni.
Maybe it's both of them.
Well, it's not Schmitz. He doesn't work there anymore.
No, they have another guy.
Oh, okay.
Jeremy Woo. Yes, it is Javoni and Jeremy Woo.
Okay, we're
good.
We're back.
We're all right.
We're back. Did they do like the Kuiper McShay alternating style, or did they just collaborate?
Each one just kind of had a write-up on each.
Oh, okay. We're good.
We're all right.
Reeve says A. Lore says C. What picks the Knicks get? Well, no first rounders this year. So, they don't have a second round pick either.
No picks.
No picks. A lot of future picks, but none this year. Shout out to the Mavericks for tanking. All right, we're going to wrap things up with a little report around Nikola Vucevic. Could he return to the Bulls? We'll discuss that. And then we're going to sign off here on NBA Now by Chat Sports. Stick with us here as we wrap things up. You're watching Chicago Bulls Report here on NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Fill it in for Patrick Seatman. Report out there around Nikola Vucevic from Shams Charania that the Bulls could be working on a contract extension. I know the fan base is going to be split on this one. Let's discuss the news and then we'll react to it here. Here's Shams on Vooch. He says, sources tell me that the Bulls and Vooch have opened up extension conversations. There's mutual interest in getting a deal done. He can sign an extension up until June 30th. If there's no agreement by that point, Vooch will be entering free agency and be one of the top centers on the marketplace, because Nikola Vucevic set to be a free agent, but teams are able to extend their own guys before they hit free agency if terms can be agreed to. My initial reaction is, but why? Like, I like Nikola Vucevic, but I explained on our perfect offseason video with Patrick Seatman and just in other thoughts we've had in the office as well, Nikola Vucevic is not a guy I'd keep around. Not because he's not good, but I just don't think that's the direction the Bulls should go toward. I'll explain more in a little bit, but let you guys weigh in. Should the Bulls keep Nikola Vucevic? Type K for keep or D for don't. I pretty clearly would move on from Vooch as I don't think the experiment has worked all that well. Maybe you feel differently, K for keep or D for don't. Now, when you look at the raw stats and, offensive highlights, if you will, of Nikola Vucevic, you're like, yeah, this is a really good player. I mean, he's very skilled, good scorer offensively, 17.5 points per game last year, 11 rebounds, can dish it a little bit from the high post, very efficient, can stretch out to the three-point line as well. I mean, he's a top 5 offensive center in the NBA. Outside of Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, you could argue he's right there from a pure offensive standpoint. But the problem is he just doesn't get it done on the other end. I know his defensive shares was high this year, but that was a very skewed stat in his favor. I think he played a little better on that end this year, and he rebounds fairly well, which I think boosts that, but not a very good defender. Pros and cons to Nikola Vucevic. Reasons to keep him. Well, he's double-double machine. He can score and he can rebound. I thought he played better this past season than he did the year before, so you've got that going for him as well. Floor spacer, he can score offensively. Reasons to let him walk. Well, he turns 33 in October. He's not getting younger. Not a defensive asset. And let's be honest, the big three between him, DeMar DeRozan, and Zach LaVine, it just has not meshed to the point that you need it to. And I'm going to discuss that a little bit further here, as well as the Bulls really got to make some decisions when it comes to this big three. And Nikola Vucevic is a big part of that, obviously. Subscribe to the Bulls Report here. Help us reach 2,000 subscribers. We're less than 400 away. Patrick Seatman's plugging out videos just about every single day. I'm popping on from time to time as well. So if you want more coverage from us here on our brand new Bulls channel, help us out. The more subs we get, more videos we are able to do. And with the offseason here, we want to continue to do that for you guys. Big three shortcomings when you look at this era. Overall record in this is the past 2 seasons, by the way, since all 3 have been here, 86 and 78. That's just not very good. And especially considering through about 50 games in the first year of these 3 together, this is the number 1 seed in the East. So since then, they're below 500. 1 playoff appearance and only 1 playoff win. 1 game win. Not a series win, 1 playoff game win. The play-in win this year does not count. That's a play-in game to get into the playoffs, and they lost the second play-in game anyway. The bottom line is, this is not what the Bulls signed up for. They did not sign up for mediocrity when they traded 3 first-round picks for Nikola Vucevic, signed DeMar DeRozan, and gave Zach LaVine a big extension to keep him around. Like, that is not what this fan base signed up for. So when you think about all of it, I've made the point of I would let Nikola Vucevic walk. I would probably trade DeMar DeRozan, who's got 1 year left on his deal and is also 33 years old. I think you could fetch a decent penny for Debo. Keep Zach LaVine, see what happens with a younger nucleus, and maybe you trade him at the trade deadline as well and embrace a rebuild. You need to consider trading off some assets like DeRozan, Caruso, and maybe even LaVine. I don't think LaVine happens this offseason, but down the road, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. I just think, look, you gave it a try and you respect that, right? As a fan, you respect when your ownership tries to go all in. Bulls did that. Just doesn't always work. This big three doesn't mesh because none of them are good defensively. They can score a lot, but the roster construction just did not come together around these guys. And Lonzo getting hurt, that really set this group back. There's just simply no doubt about it. Should the Bulls embrace a rebuild? Type Y for yes, or you can type in for no. I think they should. Even if it's not a full rebuild, I would tinker. I would let Vooch walk. I would trade DeMar DeRozan. I'd float Alex Caruso out there, and I would try to get young assets with draft picks and players. So I'm typing my Y for yes. Let me know what you guys think. Go follow my boy Patrick Seatman on Twitter. It's at Pat Seatman. He covers the Bulls for us here and does a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes. So go show him some love. He's taking a few days off with vacation, so I'm filling in today. Go follow my brother Patrick Seatman at Pat Seatman on Twitter. All right, guys. Going to get going here. Appreciate everybody who tuned in today. Y for yes, in for no. Should the Bulls embrace a rebuild? Coop, what do you think? Should they tear it down?
Yeah, it's a difficult line to walk because I feel like they're close to playoff contention, but maybe not close enough to be a serious contender in the East.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think if you ran it back with the big three, you actually probably would make the playoffs next year because the way they played after the All-Star break this year was like probably worthy of like a 6 seed.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they were like 7, 8 games, maybe like 5 to 8 games above 500. So, I mean, that's decent.
It also all depends on how you feel about Lonzo and if you have a good feel of whether or not he's going to be able to make a return.
I just don't see how it doesn't sound like there's any clarity there. I mean, if anything, it's bad. Like, the reports that have been out there are not positive ones. So, it's not looking good. All right, fellas. Appreciate everybody who tuned in today. More NBA coverage to come here at Chat Sports. Shout out to Coop for producing this thing. We're going to sign off. We'll see you guys next time here on